Hey there, it's another beautiful day. Let's watch some stuff.
Did we did we ever talk about the Stanley Cup theory?
Stanley Cup?
You know, those cups that all the white girls carry around everywhere, right? Yeah, Stanley Cups, that's a massive trend. But you know why they got so popular?
No, why?
It's all because of this one TikTok video. This video showed a car that had caught fire, completely ablaze, right? But inside in the center console, there was a Stanley Cup. It didn't melt, wasn't damaged at all. They opened it and there were still ice cubes inside the cup, right? But the theory goes that this video, that viral TikTok where the woman explained everything, was actually a marketing stunt. Shane Dawson even tested it out. They took a Stanley Cup, put some ice in it, and threw it into a fire pit. Within like 5 minutes, maybe 10, it started melting. The top part was really melting. The metal was getting burnt up, right? And when they opened it up, it was just water inside. So the whole thing, the whole viral moment was fake. So that video that went viral, pure marketing.
Advertising at its finest. They're always lying to you, and it works. I've seen videos of women fighting over those, especially when Target released their special edition ones. It was crazy.
Guess who runs the United States? Everyone says it's the Rockefellers, but it's actually the Collins family. Now, who are the Collins? There's a fellow called Christopher Columbus, who in Spanish is called Cristobal Colon. He came from one of the Papel families called the Colonna family, and they were the enemies of the Orsini family, who considered themselves to be the Maxima family. The Rothschilds and the Windsors come from the Orsini family. The Orsini and the Colonna were fighting in the Middle Ages to be popes. One pope finally comes along in history and says, "You've got to stop this fighting amongst yourselves." He said one of your family member has to marry one of their family, and you have to make amends, and we have to make a papel, and we have to work together. And from then on, the Collins family becomes Columbia. Some names for reference are District of Columbia, the Knights of Columbus, Columbia Pictures, British Columbia, Columbia in South America, and the Collins family still runs America.
You heard it right. My family. Well, I was born a Howard, and my last name is actually supposed to be Setzer, but that's a whole can of worms, so we're not going to get into.
You know, Elon Musk wasn't the first person to invent the Neuralink.
I heard it was a rumor, but I ain't know who.
This was like 5-6 years ago, but they haven't seen him since. Like, they don't know where he went. Like, he just, like, disappeared. Him and his invention. It was a MIT student. It wasn't specific a Neuralink, but it was, like, similar. Imagine a Neuralink that you could take off.
That's cheese.
It will connect to his ear and, like, on his chin. It hooks up to the internet, and he can send signals with his mind to the internet, and it'll come back to him in, like, frequency. So, like, I remember he did an interview, and the guy asked him, he was like, "What's the population of, like, Bolivia?" And he sent the message to the computer, and it came back, and he was like, 45 million people. Like, he had a search engine in his head, and he could take it off. And then ever since he disappeared, that's when Elon Musk came out with the Neuralink, and he had a patent for it, so now it's his. Nobody
copyrighted that.
Bro, what if they off that, bro? Because you know how many people had the idea stolen?
Yeah, so many people.
So
they
imagine.
say, what's his name, created the light bulb. They said it's not really cuz. They said it was...
They said it was a black man?
Yeah, it's a black man, low-key.
Crazy, bro. You know,
You gotta think about it, too. That's way easier. That's less control with the... It's not inside of
Exactly,
you.
you could take it off.
Yeah, Thomas Edison was credited with so many inventions that he didn't actually come up with. He just had a whole team of people and then took intellectual property of everything. Wouldn't surprise me if Elon Musk was doing the same thing, but to take the guy out, I mean, hell, the government does it all the time. I probably watched that like 15 times. I got nothing. Where did they go? Don't you go disappearing on me. I really appreciate you being here. And if you're having a good time, won't you hit that like button for me? It'll really help out my channel. If you haven't already, please consider subscribing. To my new subscribers, welcome. To my regulars, welcome back. And don't forget to check back tomorrow because I'm making a new episode every day.
I saw a video today of this man at like a press conference kind of thing, and he was pretty high ranked in the Air Force. He was some sort of like electrical engineer. He was brought into this group for NASA. There's something going on with their lunar satellite. It like wasn't receiving. He walked into this room and there was scientists from all over the world. And he's like, this is strange. And then he was debriefed by this one guy, and he's like, these are pictures that we have from the dark side of the moon. There's a base camp on the dark side of the moon. They were showing pictures of all these buildings. He said it's top secret.
That's weird.
Saying they looked
Like
alien-like.
That were to be true, that would change everything.
It's on the dark side of the moon, so it couldn't be observed from the light side of the moon.
Could it be humans? It's gotta be.
Maybe.
It's gotta be.
I don't know, man. There's a lot of like, what does that mean?
I don't know.
Who knows? I thought the moon was made of cheese.
It's all news to me.
Wait a second, the moon's not made of cheese? There's an alien base camp on there?
Step back. Forget about the camp. It's not made of cheese.
Now, if there is a base on the moon, which I am inclined to believe because I'm crazy like that, but I think that it would be like a human-alien conglomerate, like they work together on it. And why, as a child, do I remember thinking that the moon was actually made of cheese?
There's a growing theory that Antarctica is more than just a frozen, desolate wasteland. It's hiding secrets that could change our understanding of history forever. According to this theory, beneath the miles of ice lies an ancient, technologically advanced civilization, possibly dating back thousands of years before modern history even began. Some researchers have pointed to satellite images showing strange geometric structures deep beneath the ice. These structures, eerily similar to pyramids, have led some to speculate that Antarctica may have once been home to a lost civilization, perhaps even the fabled Atlantis. What's more, the theory suggests that this ancient civilization possessed knowledge and technology far beyond anything we currently understand. Strange metallic objects and unusual energy readings have reportedly been detected in certain parts of the continent, further fueling the mystery. But here's where it gets even stranger. Some believe that world governments are well aware of what's down there. The strict international treaties governing Antarctica, which severely limit exploration, are allegedly in place to prevent the public from discovering these ancient ruins. Whistleblowers have claimed that secret military operations have been conducted under the guise of scientific research, with hidden bases established to study the ancient technology buried beneath the ice. Some even say that these technologies could be extraterrestrial in origin, or linked to long-forgotten human history that we've been intentionally kept in the dark about. If this is true, the question remains: why would all the world's superpowers agree to keep such monumental discoveries secret? Could it be that whatever lies beneath Antarctica's ice is so powerful and so dangerous that humanity simply isn't ready for it?
I am a huge fan of the Adam and Eve story and how it talks about the world shifting. And I believe that at one time, Antarctica and the North Pole were actually on the equator of our world because of that whole shift theory. That's why I think there are potentially remnants of a past civilization in Antarctica. And yeah, I think they're definitely keeping it secret from us because that's just what the people who are currently in power like to do.
Sean Combs has a new judge in his federal criminal case. Judge Carter, who denied him bail, has been replaced. Is this strategic? Is this going to help him? Well, evidently, Sean Combs didn't waive his right to a speedy trial, and the judge didn't have a schedule to accommodate a speedy trial. This new judge may be more inclined to grant him the bail that Judge Carter declined him. I do not see how Sean Combs actually is going to want to have a speedy trial. At some point, he's going to waive that right because the mountain of evidence and witnesses against him is going to take a long time for him to defend. And as we know, we have now even over 100 new accusers, one of them as young as 9 in lawsuits. Do the feds end up having charges regarding underage minors? Right now, that is not included in his indictment. We most likely will see more charges, perhaps even more co-conspirators indicted. But for now, Sean Combs gets a new judge, which may help him if that new judge is inclined to give him bail.
That's a strategic move, but I don't think he's going to get bail, especially with all of the charges and the severity of the charges being brought against him. I don't think it's going to happen. Another thing that we all are concerned about is the whole Epstein thing, right? There's a lot of big names that are wrapped up in this whole Diddy mess.
In the early 1990s, we realized that computers would get incredibly clever, and this would be a big threat unless we could actually figure out some way of keeping up with the machines. And the obvious way of keeping up with the machines is to be able to make a direct connection between our brains and the machine world. So we thought, well, how can you do that? You can't stick a DIN socket into the back of your head. That isn't going to work very well. But then lots of people started talking about nanotechnology and self-replicating devices, and we thought, well, at some point in the distant future, say 2030, 2040, who knows, you should be able to get an injection into your arm with a few nanotechnology devices which would wander up to your brain and start connecting to every single neuron. And there's enough address space, and even in IP version 6, the Internet Addressing System, you can address signals to every single neuron individually in your brain. In fact, every neuron in the entire planet, everybody's brain, you can send signals to. So we've got a means, in principle, of connecting electronic devices to every brain cell in your head. Therefore, you can take an exact replica of your brain, so I could have Ian Pearson Mark II living inside my PC in 2030, and I could have all of my thoughts backed up on there, all of my memories backed up, and if I get run down by a bus, it doesn't matter. It's not a career problem because I've got a backup on the network. So this is a wonderful concept for the future. We call it Soul Catcher, effectively capturing my entire mind and dumping it on a chip, well, notionally a chip, and I would have another existence in cyberspace. Unfortunately, a lot of the media have misunderstood. They thought we were doing this next year, but it's actually sort of 25, 30 years away, unless we get some very big breakthroughs in technology between now and then.
How absolutely insane. This is something that they're actually working on, putting these little nanobots inside your body and downloading your brain and all that crazy stuff. And you know what we have now? AI. AI is going to work out some way to make all this crazy stuff happen. And then what? They take over your brain and stuff? Hard pass on that one. I mean, I see it for medicinal purposes, but still, I'm not lining up for that injection.
Imagine a world where you can generate lifelike images of anyone, manipulate iconic brands at will, or create text that blurs the lines between fact and fiction, all with minimal oversight. That world is here, thanks to Grok 2, Elon Musk's latest brainchild from XAI. Released in August 2024, Grok 2 is causing waves in the tech world, rivaling heavyweights like OpenAI's ChatGPT and Google's Gemini. But the real controversy? Grok 2's near-zero regulation policy, offering unprecedented creative freedom while raising grave ethical concerns. A glimpse into Grok 2. The unchained AI Grok 2 builds on its predecessor, Grok 1.5, with groundbreaking updates. While ChatGPT and Gemini impose tight restrictions to prevent harmful or sensitive content from spreading, Grok 2 has virtually torn down those barriers. Want to generate an image of a political leader in a controversial situation? No problem. Want to create copyrighted characters or brand logos without restrictions? Grok 2 has you covered. This may sound liberating, but it's also the crux of the debate. What happens when creative freedom goes unchecked? The ethical dilemma, a double-edged sword. The hallmark of Grok 2 is its approach to creative liberty, but with great power comes great responsibility. Reduced regulation opens up dangerous possibilities, like the creation of misleading content that could manipulate public opinion or spread misinformation. Picture this. Grok 2 generated deepfakes of world leaders engaged in controversial activities going viral before elections. The potential for political manipulation is chilling. Intellectual property theft is another pressing issue. Companies that have spent billions building their brands could suddenly see their iconic imagery twisted or stolen, all thanks to Grok 2's capabilities. Elon Musk's vision, pushing boundaries or breaking them. Elon Musk has been vocal about his disdain for what he sees as censorship in today's AI tools, such as ChatGPT. With Grok 2, Musk's goal is to create a space where creativity flows freely, unburdened by what he views as unnecessary restrictions. However, critics argue that this approach could fuel chaos. Musk himself has alluded to the censorship inherent in AI models like ChatGPT and Gemini, and Grok 2 appears to be his answer, an unregulated, unfettered AI capable of bending the rules. But is Musk's vision a utopia of creative freedom or a ticking time bomb? Grok 2 versus the competition. Breaking down the battle when comparing Grok 2 to its competitors, the differences are stark. ChatGPT and Gemini enforce strict content guidelines, focusing on safety, ethics, and preventing misuse. These platforms are built to keep harmful content at bay, but Grok 2's minimal regulation could attract users looking for a more unrestricted experience. While that may empower artists and creators, it also invites those with less ethical intentions. And this difference in approach is precisely what makes Grok 2 so revolutionary and so dangerous.
So remember yesterday when we talked about how Elon Musk was like, no, don't do this with ChatGPT because it's going to do all of the stuff that he's doing now? Seems a little hypocritical, doesn't it? I bet that almighty dollar is what's making him do it.
What seems like a completely normal university stairwell lurks a horror beyond imagination. The SCP Foundation and organization devoted themselves to capturing and containing the supernatural, which is referred to as SCP-087. They're known as the Endless Staircase. The Endless Staircase is dark, so dark in fact that when you try to illuminate it, it smothers even the brightest light. The deeper down you go, the sooner you come to the realization that it goes on forever, getting deeper and deeper into the blackness below. The only thing worse than being alone on a dark supernatural staircase is not being alone on a dark supernatural staircase. People who have delved deep enough have reported a horrifying face staring at them from below. Survivors have reported the face as big and pale with no mouth and big white eyes without pupils. The face does much more than just look. Studies by the SCP Foundation have found that the face begins to follow people back up the stairs as they try to escape. Some have gotten lucky going insane from fear in the years since. Others were never seen again. Let me know what y'all think in the comments.
Nightmare fuel. You're welcome.
Out in the Ural Mountains, researchers have found a series of objects so out of place and bizarre that they've been forced to consider the possibility that they came from a crashed alien spaceship. They were first found in the banks of rivers near the mountains in 1991, and they take the form of minuscule coils, the kind you might find in an engine or a modern piece of machinery. The problem is that they couldn't have been used in such a way, because they're 300,000 years old. Along with the coils are what appear to be engine shafts. The Russian Academy of Sciences has analyzed the artifacts and concluded that they're composed of copper and tungsten, and range in size from a little over an inch to 1/10,000th of an inch. That's small enough for them to be considered nanotechnology by modern standards.
I love learning about new places where there's like alien tech. I mean, it's not new, but it's new to me, and I think that's super exciting. 50,000-year-old stuff. So either it's from aliens from 50,000 years ago that came here and did what? Or it's from a past civilization. Either way, win-win.
Greg Renrich, that was one of the things that he told me. He's the one that was talking about seeing the giants in the deep underground military bases. He said that one of the first things that they had to do before he was allowed to go into S4 or S20 or any of the others, they made him sign an affidavit saying, you're not allowed to use the name Jesus Christ in these underground facilities, not even if you stub your toe or anything. And he said that he saw 10 to 25 foot tall giants in these underground bases and said that they were, human scientists and other people working side by side with them. He said that they even came right out and said they were the Nephilim. They came right out and said it. Said that, basically we're preparing for an intergalactic war with God, and they believe that they're going to win.
Where are they getting this they're going to win from?
And why are you not allowed to say the name Jesus in these underground facilities?
Now, doing this channel, it has come to my understanding that a lot of people believe that the Nephilim are the children of fallen angels and man, which makes sense that there would be some kind of war with God. But why it would be intergalactic unless God is on another planet? I don't know. I don't know. That's interesting. Normally right about now on Sundays is when I would be doing my shameless plug and spotlighting a small YouTube channel. And I want to know if you know of any small YouTube channels under 5,000 subs that you would like to see represented on my channel. Just let me know in the comments and I'll showcase them on next Sunday's episode.
The SCP Foundation is an organization dedicated to locating and containing the supernatural, whether it's an object or an entity, or sometimes both, such as SCP-035, also known as the Possessive Mask. This white, dramatic face mask may seem like a community theater prop, but it's actually a deadly monster with mysterious origins. The Possessive Mask is always searching for a host. If placed on the face of any living thing, the thing dies and their body is now piloted by the mask. Because the entity is highly intelligent and malicious, it's likely to use its new body to wreak violent havoc. One upside is that the power of the mask degrades the host. Little by little, the bodies inhabited by the mask will melt into a kind of acidic black slime. Then the Possessive Mask will be searching for a new body to take over. For your own sake, make sure it isn't yours.
So it's not all fun and games like in that movie The Mask with Jim Carrey, which was a great movie by the way. It's pretty bad. It's gonna eat you up. I love these SCP Foundation things. They're so much fun.
This is one of Russia's 7 wonders. It's called Mine Pupunyor that you can see in the Komi Republic. Traveling here is near impossible due to the remote nature of their location, and the weather here is extreme. The rock formations are around 200 million years old and have many legends tied to them. The cultural legend suggests that these pillars were originally a group of giant Samoyeds marching to conquer the Mansi people. Once they laid eyes upon the holy Mansi Mountains, the leader dropped his drum with the entire group freezing as the stone pillars. The Mansi people call this place the Small Mountain of Idols, and it is considered to be very sacred. Shamans used to practice their rituals here. If you ever get a chance to come here, you can even make a wish. It is truly a world wonder.
I'm sure there's some huge scientific explanation as to how that geologic rock formation could be made, but the stories are so much cooler.
If you live in the Pacific Northwest, did you know that we are actually overdue for a giant earthquake and that when it hits, everything west of I-5 is basically going into the water? But if you live east of I-5, you're also not safe because scientists are really worried about these lahars flowing from Mount Rainier, which could be tied to a volcano eruption or just happen spontaneously. I just thought you should know.
For my entire life, all of which has been spent living in California, we have been overdue for the big one. So one of these days, someone's going to flush that toilet and in the drink we go.
Oh, big surprise here. Oregon DMV says that they have accidentally registered non-citizens to vote. Check this out.
Tonight, officials are making changes to how Oregon's DMV automatically registers voters. This comes after the agency found over 1,200 people may have been mistakenly registered to vote when applying for a driver's license. The Oregon Secretary of State's office reports that only 9 of those people voted in prior elections. DMV says that its workers may have accidentally selected U.S. passport or U.S. birth certificate from drop-down menu when given foreign identification documents during the driver's license application process. In Oregon, if someone shows the DMV a U.S. passport or birth certificate to prove citizenships, their information is automatically sent to the Secretary of State's database for voter registration.
Interesting how these accidents tend to happen. As we go into these elections, we need to stay extremely vigilant. Follow for more, and God bless.
These accidents sure are happening in a lot of states where a lot of people who aren't supposed to be registered to vote are registering to vote.
Ice is water. Think about it. Ice doesn't taste like anything. What else doesn't taste like anything? Water. Hold on. Bear with me. Ice make things wet. Waters can make things wet. Water. It's just there. I don't know how people don't see it. Ice and water is the same thing. It is. And more people need to talk about this because it's like what if, that's just theory. What if you could use water to make ice? Now see, if it's crazy science, but it might be possible. It might be.
Wow. What an absolutely profound discovery. I was actually waiting for something. I'm sure you were too, and that's the point. It was just silly. I'm going to call it for today. Thank you so much for sharing your time with me. Please come on back tomorrow. We're going to watch some new stuff. I'll say different things, and it's going to be fantastic. Until then, have a wonderful day.